Welcome to the Zach Fink Share podcast. This episode is going to be a recording of a boring meeting that we had recently. It is about an hour-long meeting. This is what I coach my clients to have. This is what I coach the couples that I work with, as well as the men that I work with within the Mental Load Mastery program. We use two main tools within it. We use the Persist app as well as the Connection Codes Core Emotion Wheel. The Persist app we use to divvy up the household items and responsibilities in our home and to guide our discussions around them. In the second one is the Connection Codes Core Emotion Wheel. We help use that to regulate the way that we're talking to each other and kind of get close to each other when we start out that meeting. Both of those things you can get links to in the show notes. You can get your free care load assessment from the Persist app, and you can get the free core emotion wheel, as well as I'm going through their foundations program right now. So you can check those out if you'd like to. Furthermore, I would really appreciate it if you've found these valuable in the past and you like listening to them. Please hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out with the podcast and possibly getting possible sponsors at some point in time. Really appreciate you listening and finding value in it. Enjoy. Hello, we are recording our boring meeting for the day just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like. Not planning on talking to the camera, just doing our boring meeting, trying to set a good example. I wanted to kick off with core motion wheel. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first? All right, I'll go first. I'm going to end on joy. Anger. I think I've been feeling angry with myself that on days when I don't feel as productive as I want to be, or like I'm just lost in fear around things, I feel consistent shame when the money coming in is not matching what I'm wanting to be manifesting, and I think what I feel like should be. I feel guilt when I know that we talked about us being in a Band-Aid space as we're waiting for her to get her ear tubes done, but I feel guilt every time that you're taking care of her. The fact that we've kind of decided to have you do the majority of that. Fear this morning is not as bad, and it hasn't been since talking with you yesterday, but fear is consistently something that I have to hold at bay around finances, just making sure we have enough to pay the mortgage and live generally the lifestyle that we have. Lonely. I think I feel lonely when you guys go to daycare and I both want to be productive and I want to be a part of it at the same time. I feel sad that in so many ways I feel like this past month has been really hard, way more on you, I think, than me. I'm sad that everybody's been going through this and that like we have to keep waiting for our not Band-Aid solution, the ear tubes. I feel a little bit of hurt every time you're in a bad mood and you're maybe a little short with me, but at the same time, I've gotten very good at calibrating the place that it's coming from, so it's increasingly fleeting. And I feel joy that we're working together on the business and you're doing what you're good at so I can be better at what I'm good at. I felt really close to you probably the past 24 hours that I've been talking deeply and seeing those emails of like what you're working on, what you're trying to do. It's 2016, I think. We had a conversation of like, oh yeah, we could never be business partners. We could be married, but we could never be business partners after I had just done, or it was 2017, I had just done my TEDx talk. And I was like, I should go be a speaker. And we had talked about kind of you doing something like this, doing more of the clerical, like being my agent type deal. And you're like, nah, just kidding, we can do business together. So it's been really cool, at least in these early days of us doing things together.
Oh boy. Okay. I felt anger when I really did not want to listen every time she doesn't want to listen, which is very often. recently with her not feeling so good with her ears hurting. But most recently this morning was because she wanted to go straight into our bedroom to play with things, and I said, no, we're not going into Mommy's room. And she started whining, and it made me immediately feel angry. Because I just was thinking, oh, here we go, we're going to go straight into tantrum first thing in the morning. But luckily I was able to redirect her. I felt shame. Well, I feel shame every time I am angry with Everly because I know she's just not feeling well and her ears hurt and it's not making her feel like herself. And I internalize that and feel really bad whenever I do get angry, especially when afterwards when we're reconciling and she says that it scared her. That just makes me want to cry. Guilt. I've been feeling guilty that our last board meeting I said I would put together a cleaning list, and I have not done that. Yeah, mostly because I don't want to be held accountable to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I feel fear about our release ear tube surgery next week. It's first thought, best thought is I feel lonely out here where we live, and I wish we lived closer to family. I feel sad that Everly's ears hurt, and she's clearly suffering. There's not much else we can do about it. The most recent one was yesterday, which we already talked about, but when you were expressing your general disappointment that I still have a little bit of the Fairplay book to finish. And joy every time Everly gives me a hug or a snuggle or nuzzles.
I feel closer to you every time we do that. So I really appreciate it.
They're really hard to do for me because of my conditioning of not showing emotions. So,
well, you can high five the guys in my programs because they struggle with it probably more than you do.
yeah.
So I totally hear you.
I know the more I resist it, the more I actually need to do it. If I'm resisting it hard, then that means I'm resisting some emotions.
Yeah. And I think the first thought, best thought is also a good way to go about it. It's like, it's usually the thing that's the truest, but like it's really easy to gloss over and logic yourself out of sharing that thing.
Well, for me, it's always like, well, I'm sure there was something more recent.
Yeah. All right. That was probably the top one. Was like a one from last week. Was the making a list of items to check off every week.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the ad hocness we've been doing, which is kind of like pulse check Friday morning before grandparents come over.
I know, but that's changing, and it stresses me out the rest of the week. I have been liking these last 5 days where we've been tidying up as we go. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Have you been doing that, or have I been doing that too?
Well, I've noticed if I leave things out, then you leave things out. But if I put things away, you tend to put things away too.
Yeah, like that water cup out there. Listen, I don't drink out of those.
I didn't put it. I don't remember putting it there. I leave my water cup.
The only thing I can think of is sometimes when I'm emptying the dishwasher, like if Everly's around, like I'll try to just get it all up on the counter so I can get it up to the second row and close it.
I'm telling you I didn't.
That must have been what happened then.
Anyway, I do like this, so I saw a video, I'm trying to remember what she called it. I think she called it the one-touch rule. Have you seen this video? I imagine it's pretty popular because otherwise it wouldn't have just shown up on my feed. But it's basically, instead of doing something halfway, it takes just as much time to put a dirty dish in the sink than just put it in the dishwasher. Like, Maybe it takes an extra 1 second to open the dishwasher.
So the rule is, if you're going to use one touch to put it one place, if it's the same or slightly more effort to put it in its final destination.
It only takes like 2 or 3 more seconds, if that. Yeah, so like, I've been thinking a lot about that. Like, if I make myself a PB&J for lunch, I normally will just leave stuff out and be like, I'll do this later. Which I don't. You do it. Generally. Or if I do it because I need to make room for making dinner. But this last week I've been like, okay, it literally takes 1 or 2 seconds to just put these things back.
Yeah. That's really interesting and a good point, is I do think I take cues from you, the nonverbal ones of how things are left out around the house, because you've historically had the higher standard of cleanliness. So like, if the peanut butter's not out and I bring it out, I'm much more likely to put it back if it wasn't there, versus if I already see something out, I'm more likely to just leave it and be okay
Yeah,
with.
so you want to know what my test was?
You tested me.
I tested you. I made a very conscious choice to leave something on that little counter.
What was it?
Just a little like infant folder, which doesn't live there, but it doesn't have a home right now, so I just put it there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like if I leave this here, he's gonna leave stuff on this counter. Versus if I don't put this here, this counter will probably be clear.
Lo and behold, things
Lo and
start showing up
behold,
next to it.
there was like 6 things on the counter. The Sharpie, the little medicine cup, the other glass, the cat bowl stuff.
Your incense holder was there?
Yes, this is why I think
I don't
it's
remember
this
at all.
subconscious for you.
Wow. I remember you using it in the living room yesterday. When did you put it there?
Last night. Because I didn't want her to touch it.
Like,
I guess.
after she got home from school?
Yeah, so like when we were watching TV.
Interesting. Yeah, it's almost like that no dirty spoons chapter I wrote back in the day of like, if there's one spoon in the sink, a knife is going to follow that, and then a dirty cat food can's going to join that, and then a bowl's going to join that, and you got to leave it clean or else things will join it, because it's setting the standard of it. So I don't know whether to be, I don't know how to feel about that, but I can't believe that there was a cornerstone thing that was there. I'm glad you tested me to see if it's now. I'd be now that I'm aware of it. It probably won't be broken, but
Right.
I would love to be tested again. I feel like, because I don't want that to be true.
Well, anyway, I think now that I brought it up into your front of mind, thinking about the one-touch rule and tidying as you go, I think that has alleviated a lot of like my, oh my god, this place is so dirty. And instead of stressing about it and not doing anything about it, I'm like, oh, look at how tidy it is. I'm gonna dust.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is I'm realizing that I have, like, the way that I think about you and the activity that you put into cleaning is that you are cleaner than I am, or you're less cluttered than I am, and therefore, if there is something out that's not in the sink or where it belongs on the left side of the sink when it's dirty, it has a purpose there. That is, I think, my default setting is like, oh, there's something there that I didn't put there, or at least I don't remember putting there. It must be there for a reason. And, you know, there have been a couple moments I remember when we had like the nails and screws and stuff. I think it was for the hooks or something some months ago.
It was like a year ago.
Okay. I thought it was maybe the fall.
No.
Either way, I remember that box of things were there, and at one point I was like, okay, I'm sick of this being here. I moved it, and then you were pissed at me for moving stuff.
That box still is down there with that project still put in there, not where it belongs.
Because I have it that if it's not in its home, that you had a purpose for it. So what I can now adjust my assumption to is that, and this is a great, I think, lesson for myself and a lot of other guys, is like, you're arguably just as less likely to declutter things as I am. And I can actually be more confident in that. No, I actually do know where things go. You are not the thought keeper of where things live.
Mm-hmm.
And I can be equally as responsible for where things go rather than.
I mean, you know where everything goes. If you don't know where something goes, then I don't know where something goes too. It just hasn't been assigned a home. Like our closets in the basement have not been organized yet.
Yeah.
So like they're kind of a free for all right now, which is why I keep losing things, and you keep being like, "Where is this thing?" And I'll be like, "I don't know." That's really weird that I don't know where things are, but I don't.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I think the tidying thing goes both ways though. If you start leaving things out,
Can you follow suit too?
then I get a little lazy.
Really?
I'm like, well, I don't think it's laziness. I think it's more spitefulness.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, it's spiteful.
Interesting. I think I have moments of spitefulness, but for the most part, it's me falling in line with me thinking that, like, you're confidently putting things places, not.
No.
Got it.
Like these things on the stairs, they're going upstairs, and I just haven't brought them upstairs yet. But they're not confidently put there.
On some level, they are, because they're not in their home, and like
right,
that signals to me that they're headed up there.
They're headed up there because they're not going to live down here anymore. Because I set up the Roomba. Woohoo! Finally did that. Yeah.
I've had moments of wanting to set it up, and then I say to myself, it's too much mental, or I'm not.
You know how easy it was?
How easy was it?
Took it out of the box. You plugged it in. You scanned a QR code. Followed all the buttons. You just literally, I didn't even read anything. I just clicked the buttons and then entered our Wi-Fi password.
Yeah.
And then clicked map.
And it was off.
And it was off and did its map. Although I did learn a few things as it was mapping. Should
we both have that app on our phone? I'm thinking. Will it map to 2 phones?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. Maybe we should look at that. And I will do my best to not just have you be the manual for how to use it, but I can learn to use it too. Mm-hmm. I do anticipate you'll end up using it more than me, and for me to know. I'm glad we're talking about this now, because that could easily 2 years down the line be, you never do the Roomba, even though there's no manual labor in it really. Like there's still mental load in it. The mental load and the manual labor is like upkeeping it, emptying the vacuum bags. Because it literally has vacuum bags, so you need to like order more of them and stock them. Do you think it'll be a daily use? I set it up to do the main living areas daily, and then once a week my bedroom. I did not set it up for your office because generally your office is not accessible. Accurate. So. Alright. Anyway, yeah, it's set up for 10 a.m. every day. Well, not every day. On weekdays when everybody's not here. I feel complete about the checklist thing. Do we still agree that you want to be the one to create it? Yeah. For things that aren't general tidying, like, one of the things that's been on my list ever since the weather's gotten nicer is cleaning the sunroom, like doing a deep clean of the sunroom and getting it nice enough to want to like hang out there. Right now it just feels dirty. Are those plants going to have a home outside of the sunroom? Kind of gave up on them, but then your mom watered them and now I feel a little bit bad. Okay. I mean, one thing I would say about that is I could give them away. I think that's probably part of, because it feels like you've taken over that room with the plants in there. it occurs to me as like, this is her staging area. I can't mess with it.
Well, it was, but I don't have any garden yet, so I'm just gonna give those away.
I know we had talked about me building a raised bed out of pallets.
I don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that?
No, I keep thinking about like fencing for the goats / like eventual kid play area. And my original idea was to have part of the fenced in area for the goats and then another fenced in area off of that, like adjacent to it, that's for gardening. Because the issue is there are so many deer and other animals right on the edge of the woods out there that, like, if I try to grow anything, like, yeah, unless they're protected. So, like, it's just, there's work that has to be done. And then every time I think of doing the fencing, I'm like, I look at the barn and I'm like, all these pieces of wood need to be replaced. And then I get overwhelmed. That's like the general state of this yard is I look at something and I get overwhelmed and then I stop thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was proud of you that you started working on the non-grassing of the backyard last weekend.
Well,
that turned out to be a lot to just clear that like
one
small area.
Yeah, I mean we have a lot of work to do on it, but that's what I was telling our neighbor the other day, Paul, that you just have to like hyper focus on one small area because otherwise I get overwhelmed. It's just like the whole yard, we have 3.2 acres and maybe 1.5 of it is cleared, maybe less than that, maybe like 1.2 or 1.3 acres. All of it needs some kind of help. All of it.
Not all of it.
Yeah, all of it. In my eyes, all of it. Not even the grass is to my standard. Dude.
No comment.
Yeah, well, this is where I have to say, like, I just had this moment of like, oh my god, your mom's gonna listen to this and be like, but like, just look at the difference between like the pristine way that
your parents
my mom likes to do landscaping versus like your mom just like, let nature take over. Which is why she loves this yard so much, because like nature has definitely taken over. But
do you like the violets?
I
love them.
I like them. However, I want to designate like a wild grass area versus like a cultivated area. So, yeah, it's just, it has to have a designated area where it can grow. It can't just grow everywhere.
No, it should be able to grow everywhere.
It just stresses me out, man.
Yeah.
I need my golf course green area.
What are you? Okay.
And my nice.
I mean, I'm fine with you carrying that within the pool yard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
we don't need to go further than that. Yeah. So.
I actually have been the last week not allowing myself. Every time I start thinking about it, I'm like, nope, focus on the inside.
Yeah. So coming back to the sunroom, you're thinking you want to give away
I'm just gonna give them to your mom and my mom.
Okay. Do you want to consult them first? Or do you need help getting them to them? Or
no,
you own that completely?
Anyway,
you might need some boxes to make sure that.
We're digressing too much. Okay. That was only an example of something that I was thinking of for cleaning that isn't just general tidying.
Gotcha.
Coming back full circle. So, that is why a list is important. But it's also like comes back to like how Fairplay has a card just for cleaning. And I know we don't have to stick to exactly like cleaning card, and the cleaning card doesn't have to be held by one person specifically every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea of like switching off holding that card. I don't know. Hashing out exactly how to divvy up cleaning has been a really big mental obstacle for me.
Yeah, I think starting with the list I think we
I
will.
feel like the list is,
I mean, do you want me to make the list?
no, I don't.
Okay. I can't help but hear that Lady song, Frida. Dun, 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 make a list. I don't want to make a list. I mean, I feel like I could put together a decent list and you could add to it.
There are so many lists online. That's like...
Yeah, but that's not. I would go from scratch and thinking about like what I'm imagining. I would actually want to have done on a weekly basis.
Like what? Give me an example.
I think vacuuming on a weekly basis
It's
and
the Roomba's job now, but we still have upstairs and the stairs.
well, I mean, are we not gonna keep having the rubbery pad thing out?
I literally only put it out again when she was sick.
So no drinks. I mean, what about like when she has milk out here? I guess once she's done with the ear surgery, we'll go back to less survival parenting.
Big girl cups at the table.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I guess that was the main thought around that was crumb. I mean, crumbs can be dealt with by
Yeah.
the Roomba, but
We still have upstairs and the...
Yeah.
And the stairs.
okay. So that's the Roomba's job.
Well, not necessarily because we still have upstairs and to vacuum and clean.
Yeah. Gotcha. I was talking about a specific area. I think because I anticipate we're going to have more than one moment of pointing out where one of us started slacking and you got spiteful or I got lazy and followed suit. Like find a home for all the things that have randomly ended up on the counter there. That should be, I think, a weekly thing. I felt better the past 2 days.
Daily.
Daily?
Like, minimum standard of care is weekly. Ideally, it's daily that the counters are clean.
Our goal is the minimum standard of care is what we're creating right now. Or what that list will be created for.
So the list is minimum standard of care?
Yeah.
I was going to create the ideal cleaning list.
The ideal cleaning list is like Thanksgiving.
No.
There's just minimum standard of care that we both agree on that this is what happens on a weekly basis. I think ideally we're doing a tiny bit more throughout the week so that on that weekly day where we're doing it, we're not having to put in...
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what's been stressing me out is that we have been doing the minimum and I want things more clean. I want things ideal. And that will create, that requires
so we can
us
have
creating
a list,
more structure.
So we can have a list of the 15 minimums and then the extra 10, which is the difference between minimum and ideal. We'll have like a... Maybe it's just a frequency thing is the difference between ideal and minimum.
I don't know. But this cleaning card and figuring out what is minimum, figuring out how to divvy it up, figuring out how to create structure such that we're both able to take full responsibility on different days. It's been hard. But I guess your idea of having like the minimum tasks and then the ideal tasks, maybe they could be like different sections of different days. But I was thinking of literally having like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then like weekly, and then monthly, and then yearly. And like,
is that part of the reason you're getting overwhelmed? Is because you're doing that level of thinking around it?
Probably.
Maybe just start. Maybe we start at I don't know. Maybe we just start with minimum what should be done weekly. I think that would be a great starting point, and then we will create ideals that are done on a daily basis, but are not the minimum, and then from there we'll have a decent blueprint we can build off of for monthly, quarterly, yearly.
Okay.
Holiday guestly, like for birthdays and Thanksgiving. We do have a blueprint for Thanksgiving.
Well, alright. So, minimum standard of care, generally speaking, is, the way that I understand it is more like a mission statement, not necessarily like a the minimum standard of care for the counters is blah blah blah. It's not. I don't think we need to divvy it up that much. I think creating like a mission statement would be drastically helpful for me because right now I just want to say the minimum is what the ideal is. Minimum is everything is clean, always.
Okay.
So, and that's where like the disconnect for me is happening and the resentment is because I just want things clean and we haven't settled on what our minimum mission statement is for cleanliness of the house. I know the examples given in the book and from other people have been like that the house is clean such that things are safe and healthy.
That's not enough for you. You need them generally aesthetically pleasing. Like, is this minimum or is this ideal for the play area here? What's ideal?
Nothing on top of it. And the baskets aligned and the
Baskets aligned like they're physically... Okay. There's one popping out right now a little bit. Okay.
and there's like I call them basket crumbs. The basket like
Yeah.
the
Shavings.
yeah, whatever the
Yeah.
wicker grass stuff.
Yep.
That breaks off sometimes. Like that needs to be cleaned and the barn and all the little animals don't have a home right now, so toys need to be reorganized so that it either lives down here or upstairs, ideally moving those toys. She hasn't played with those, so those can go upstairs and the barn can go in there.
Yep.
So yeah, that is minimum.
Minimum ideal would be just the flowers up top, 3 flowers on top.
Well, the game controllers need to go be plugged back in and put behind the TV, and they ideally don't want anything on top of it. And there are too many toys in the cubbies, so toys need to be reorganized, and
So that's minimum.
that's minimum.
So coming back to like your thought around like what the minimum standard of care looks like, that was a pretty semi-detailed definition,
Yeah.
more so than a mission statement, I think.
So maybe my minimum is like floors are
You're not kicking anything.
decluttered.
Yeah.
Nothing, no clutter on the floor, no clutter on the counter. Maybe that's my minimum.
Yeah, I think for minimum for the counters, it's like saying what does belong there. So, hand soap, hand towel,
Mm-hmm.
Clorox wipes.
Yeah, they've been the Lysol spray and the Clorox wipes have just been living in that corner, so that's fine.
Cat food, cat water, dry and wet. I really appreciate having that Dawn spray on there. And what's the other thing that's up there? And pretty much
My
your
water cup.
continuous cup of water.
If it's to the right of the clean drinking water spout, it's clean. If it's to the left, it's dirty.
Yeah. Peanut butters are put away.
Bananas and apples and other things can stay out.
Yeah. I would appreciate if you do something with that spaghetti squash that's probably been in there close to a year now.
It has not been there for a year. It's been there since February.
You bought that in February? Okay. It's still a long time.
It's not necessarily bad, but it's getting there.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else ends up living out there for longer than it's welcome.
Your random knives.
Yeah.
It's not safe, especially now that Everly can bring her stool out and reach anything on the counter. I think that's a minimum that has been bothering me is when random knives are left out.
Okay.
Either if you don't want to like do the whole dishwasher thing with them, then just like rinse them off and put them away.
Okay. Yeah. I know you see a lot of leftover knives, and I do actually do that a lot because I think I use knives more than you realize. But I get it. Okay.
Away being like in the knife block.
Yeah.
Or in the sink.
So, coming back to minimum standard of care, that was pretty specific. That would be, I think, what the ideal list looks like. is in general areas of the home, like there's either a clear what's not there or a clear what should be there. And if it's not listed, then it doesn't belong there. So creating what the list that you've been overwhelmed to make, the list should probably look like kitchen counters. This is what's there. Dining room table. This is what's there. QB things. This is what's there, or what's not there. So you could define either way. So, for example, saying like the minimum is that it's tidy. The ideal is that there's nothing on top of these.
I might need you to make an example, or like I don't know that I'm really understanding.
I'm thinking at some point we might want to take pictures of ideal versus minimum. So like picture of minimum, the day that we actually get it to ideal state, take a picture and show the difference.
Well, right now we just have too many toys down here.
Yeah.
We need to do a toy rotation.
Yeah. So similarly, once we get the sunroom to a state that you feel good about, maybe that's when we create the minimum and the ideal for it.
Yeah. Although I think it's seasonal for that room because it's such a seasonal room. Like I really don't care about it in the winter.
Yeah.
I only care about it when we can actually use it.
Spring and fall, pretty much. Even in summer, it's pretty hot in there.
We still use it in the summer.
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. So I would argue, like if you wanted to iteratively create it, I would say list all the rooms that you want to be on your cleaning list. Next week when we have this, have three decently detailed versions of what that looks like.
3.
Start with 3 so you don't overwhelm yourself. Once you have those 3, then
3 rooms?
Yeah, 3 spaces. Once you have 3, then we'll come back, agree on it, and or be like, okay, I really appreciated how you articulated this in this space. This one was like a over the top or underwhelming definition. Now make the rest because we like this. I think I should make this list because I'm not overwhelmed by this.
And I'm not understanding how you're wanting this.
I'm trying to demystify and de-stress and de-overwhelm you.
It's not working.
I see that. All right. It is on my list for the week. I will make a time block when I sit down to my computer to start this list.
Okay. I just want to share that I've noticed for the last 5 days when things are minimally tidy and there's no clutter on the floor and the counters, I don't feel stressed and I actually want to work on things like setting up the Roomba yesterday and other cleaning tasks like dusting, what was I dusting? What do you call those? In between the balusters for the stairs. We've been working on dusting all of that, and cleaning the cabinets more. So rather than wasting my time feeling stressed about things generally not being tidy and then otherwise being resentful and spiteful, I've not been feeling that way. I've been feeling good about things and feel much more inclined to do other small iterative cleaning tasks as I go throughout the day, non-resentfully.
Got it. Okay.
So I think that's why it's important for me. Generally cleaner and happier and healthier.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, moving on. Thank you for taking on the list.
Thank you for finally giving it up.
I think my... to speak in the...
Fair play language?
No, Instagram language.
Oh.
My toxic trait is I get overwhelmed and shut down. But I won't tell you.
That's fine. Okay. I don't want to launch into a lot. This was meant to be a shorter one. I think the only thing I wanted to do is standard operating procedure for tangerine. We got 6 days left till the surgery.
Oh my god.
And the basic thing I'll just say is, one thing I've been doing is I've been letting, rather than trying to step in, because I just don't feel like we have a great dynamic worked out for that, and it's hopefully short term. I've just been, like, I noticed the other morning when you started dealing with that. One, I immediately feel guilty if I'm listening to like a podcast or something. I turn it off so I can hear what's going on. Two is like, I'm thinking, okay, what needs to happen next? If she's asking for milk, I'm making a bottle or I'm getting it ready. If I'm like, okay, Tylenol or ibuprofen is going to be needed soon, I'll get those ready. So I just start trying to prepare for needs.
In a supportive role.
Yeah. And I feel like that's worked out better than, was it last weekend when you and me had kind of a blow up at each other after her tantrum, because I kept trying to step in and take over.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think that was last week. It was 2 or 3 weekends ago. This has been going on for a long time now.
Got it.
It was before her recheck after the urgent care. So it was like 2 or 3 weekends ago. Anyway, I think that we've both learned a lot more about how to handle tantrums in the first place. Like, I've been reading a lot about it. I have gained a lot more sympathy because I know her tantrums are mostly driven by her ear pain. So at first, it was like a few weeks ago, trying to hold strong boundaries and not budging. And like saying things like, use your words, or I can't help you unless you calm down. Like, those things don't help her. So what I've been doing, what you might have noticed, unless we really like have a time crunch or we just need to move on, I'll just power through and then like be supportive for her. But what's been helping her the most is just being in her space, not asking her to use her words, not really talking much, but just being there for her. And then when she does finally calm down, giving her time to reconcile and talk about it and apologize for her feeling bad or sad, or apologize if I got angry, and talking about it afterwards when she's finally calm. But yeah, it just doesn't help her at all to try to logic, try to use words, try to do anything when she's mid-tantrum.
Yeah.
That being said, though, like, if I am at my limit and I am just going to lose my mind, like when you were gone this Sunday and she threw 2 tantrums back to back when I was trying to, like, talk to her about going to Mimi's house. I was just at my limit. Like, I knew I could not handle any more tantruming or any more, like, she wanted to go to Mimi's house, then she wanted to stay home, and then, like, she said, okay, if you want to go to Mimi's house, we have to get dressed, and then starting to change her. She just absolutely lost her shit. And they're just, anyway, at that point in time, I just decided, nope, we're powering through. I am changing you, and
we're just gonna get to the car.
We're just gonna get to the car and start driving. And then as soon as we started driving, she stopped tantruming. Similar to like 2 mornings ago when she started tantruming because I wouldn't let her go into our bedroom. I knew I powered through. Yeah, I powered through because I knew as soon as we started going downstairs and or like watching Paw Patrol, which she's been loving lately, that she would be fine. And that's what happened. So now, rather than trying to hold boundaries and ask her to use her words and stuff, nixing that doesn't work when she's in a tantrum.
Yes.
Just supporting her, being in her space, offering hugs here and there. If she's not willing to have a hug, then just sitting and waiting for her to regulate enough to be able to have a hug, and then talking about it. If I'm at my limit, or if we just generally don't have time, then just power through to a change in scenery or a change in something like it, just to distract her, distract her enough for her to regulate herself. That's how I've been dealing with it. But yes, you're right. If you were to try to intervene, she generally gets worse because she wants mama, and she's been very clingy to me. And then her elevating again because she wants mama and that just like sets me off, because every time she it just like hurts me on the inside when she's tantrum. So when she gets worse because you stepped in, it's really hard not to deflect that towards. So yeah, it's best to just stay.
So being present, I feel like I am. There are moments where I'm kind of anticipating instruction from you in what kind of support you want in those moments, and there's other moments where I'm like, all right, I can even I think it was 2 nights ago where she said "mama," and then you came in when I was trying to hold things down, and then I was like, okay, I didn't ask you if you were taking over. I stepped aside, and I know the couple nights prior, you're like, I want you to stay. And so, even when I went to throw out the diaper in the trash, I was like, I'm just throwing this out so that you knew that I wasn't leaving. So I'm trying to manage the appropriate amount of communication.
I don't know that there's any logic to it right now.
Okay. So I do feel like I'm stepping on eggshells a little bit around that, because I know that you're not in a great state in those moments.
Well, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells anytime I ask everybody to do anything.
Yeah.
Right now.
So I'll do my best to just know that we're 6 days away from hopefully light at the end of the tunnel, and just expect that it might be a little short, especially if she's struggling, and we will reconvene on how we want to be holding boundaries and parenting once they're too soon.
Yeah, and so I'm pretty confident that her behavior will drastically improve after the tubes are put in, and we can stop being in survival mode and start doing some real parenting.
Thank you again for listening to me on the podcast today. I hope this was valuable. If you're still listening, I really appreciate that you've watched all the way through, and I'm assuming that it's had some level of value. I would say this is 95 to 99% authentic. Sometimes we can be a little bit more tense, but this one, I don't think that having the camera in front of us really impacted anything. Sometimes I would say that it does impact us a little bit, but in this case, I felt like it was very authentic. Again, the core motion wheel, you can check out Connection Codes if you're interested in their foundations program, and practicing regulating emotions and doing that with your partner has really helped us out in the past couple months, as well as the Persist app, which you can get your free care load assessment. You just go through probably a 10-minute exercise to quantify the amount of time and effort that you're putting into different responsibilities. And again, if you enjoyed this and you've appreciated the podcast, please, I would really appreciate you clicking the subscribe button. Thank you, and look forward to delivering you more of this content.